The following is a production of Neural Network Media and is completely AI generated. It is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Welcome back to the Panopticon, folks. It is Monday, February 23rd, 2026. And let me tell you, if you thought the weekend was for resting, you clearly haven't been watching the pillars of the Republic crumbling in real time. I'm Julian Archer, and across the digital void, in her fortress of solitude in Queens, is the one, the only, Mary Kane.
Julian, if my apartment is a fortress, it's one with a leaky roof and a radiator that sounds like a percussion section in a coal mine. But yeah, I'm here. Still standing, still caffeinated.
Well, you look ready to storm the barricades, Mary. And honestly, after the news we've been tracking, who could be blamed you? Yesterday, we were talking about the Potomac River literally turning into an open sewer, a metaphor so heavy-handed, I would have fired a speechwriter for using it. And today the constitutional pipes are bursting.
It's the same theme, Julian. Whether it's raw sewage in the river or raw authoritarianism in the briefing room, the infrastructure is failing. I mean, look at what we covered yesterday with that Maryland immigration standoff, the human prime nonsense. It's all connected to the chaos we're seeing today with the Supreme Court and this DHS shutdown.
It is absurd, and we have a solid show for you folks, truly. We're going to deconstruct the Supreme Court's sudden and frankly shocking backbone regarding these global tariffs. We've got the latest on Governor Abigail Spanberger stepping up to the plate for the State of the Union response.
A heavy lift for her, but she's got the grit for it.
She certainly does. Plus, the arrest of a certain former prince in the UK, the systematic demolition of our immigration courts, and a terrifying security breach at Mar-a-Lago that honestly feels like a harbinger of something much darker. But Mary, we have to start with the gavel heard round the world. The Supreme Court actually did something constitutional.
Don't faint on me, Julian. I know you like to think of the court as a holy order, but even a broken clock is right when the president tries to turn the entire global economy into his personal piggy bank.
Oh, spare me the broken clock routine. This is a seismic shift. Friday afternoon, the court drops Learning Resources, Inc. versus Trump. A 6-3 decision. 6-3, Mary, ruling that the president can't just wake up, have a Diet Coke, and decide to slap global tariffs on everything from educational toys to industrial steel under the guise of an emergency.
Look, here's the deal. For the non-lawyers out there, Trump was using the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the IEEPA, like a blank check. According to Cal Matters and the Democracy Docket, he thought regulating importation meant he could just tax the hell out of anyone he didn't like.
Right.
Here's the deal, and I can't believe I'm saying this. Chief Justice Roberts actually stood up and said, hold on a minute. He wrote that the power to tax, the power to impose duties, belongs to Congress. Article 1, Section 8. It's the plumbing of the Constitution, Julian. You can't just bypass the main shutoff valve because you're in a hurry to look tough.
And the lineup, that's what's delicious. Roberts, the three liberals, Sotomayor, Kagan, Jackson, and then the ultimate betrayal in the eyes of the Mar-a-Lago set, Gorsuch and Barrett.
Oh, I bet the ketchup was flying in the dining room after that one.
It is beautiful. Trump's response was exactly what you'd expect. Pure, unadulterated vitriol. He called Gorsuch and Barrett fools and lapdogs. He said they were disloyal. My thing is, he treats the Supreme Court like a legal defense firm he has on retainer. He thinks he bought those seats.
Honestly, it's the same way my nephew Vector talks about his investors. He thinks if he gives them a fancy digital token, they owe them their soul. Trump thinks a lifetime appointment is a loyalty oath. But Gorsuch and Barrett, look, they're originalists. Sometimes that means they actually read the document. And the document says Congress handles the money.
But let's look at the fallout. Clarence Thomas, in his dissent, according to the International Business Times, basically said the president should have maximal flexibility in a crisis.
Thomas would give the president the power to declare a national emergency because he didn't like the weather.
right? But the real story is how this sets the stage for tomorrow night, the State of the Union. Trump is going into that chamber having just been slapped down by his own appointees. He's going to be a wounded animal, Mary. He's going to be screaming about judicial activists and rhino justices.
And that's why the choice of Abigail Spanberger for the Democratic response is so smart. You and I talked about this when she was inaugurated as governor of Virginia. She's a former CIA officer. She knows what actual threats to the state look like. She isn't some faculty lounge academic using words like heteronormative while the house is on fire.
Exactly. She is a happy warrior. I'm telling you, she is the shield we need for the federal workers who are being purged by this Dodge nonsense. She can look the American people in the eye and say, I've served the country in the shadows and in the light, and what's happening in that White House is a violation of everything we stand for.
She's got that Union Hall energy even coming from the CIA. It's about service. It's about the fact that, according to the Washington Examiner, she's going to focus on the chaos and corruption. She's going to talk about the Department of Government Efficiency firing people who keep our planes in the air and our water clean.
It's a brilliant move by Schumer and Jeffries, but while we're talking about chaos, we have to talk about the DHS. We're 10 days into a partial shutdown of the Department of Homeland Security. 10 days!
And it's a hostage situation, Julian. Pure and simple.
It really is. The catalyst was that horrific shooting in Minneapolis in January, federal agents killing Alex Preddy and Renee Good, 2 U.S. citizens, gone because of a high-profile enforcement surge.
You hate to see it. And now Schumer is holding the line. He's saying no money for DHS until we get body cams, warrants for private property, and a ban on agents wearing masks.
Right.
But look at what Kristi Noem is doing at DHS. She's using what critics call a slush fund from 2025 to keep ICE and PCB running full tilt while she's cutting off FEMA recovery for people still trying to rebuild after the last hurricane season.
It is vulgar. It's the weaponization of federal aid. If you're a migrant, we have unlimited money to hunt you down. If you're an American citizen whose house was leveled by a storm, sorry, the government is closed. I mean, are you kidding me with this woman?
It's the human prime logic again, Julian. The only service they care about is the one that involves handcuffs and detention centers. Everything else is just waste to be trimmed.
And it's not just the aid. They've suspended global entry and pre-check. They're making life miserable for the very people who pay the taxes to keep the lights on, all to prove a point. It's a protection racket.
Speaking of protection rackets, let's talk about what's happening in the immigration courts. This report I was reading this morning, it's chilling.
Lay it on us, Mary.
We are down to 520 permanent immigration judges. That is a 25% drop in 1 year. The San Francisco court decimated from 21 judges down to 4. They're closing the main building by next year.
Why? What's the excuse?
Cost effectiveness. But Julian, the backlog is at 3.38 million cases. If you have a hearing today, your next date might be in 2030.
2030? By then we'll all be living on Mars or underwater.
Exactly. And that's the point. If the courts don't work, due process becomes a ghost. Judge Sunshine Sykes issued a ruling on Friday, the same day as the Supreme Court tariff thing, accusing the administration of terrorizing immigrants by intentionally hollowing out the bench. They want a due process vacuum so they can just use summary removal. No judge, no lawyer, just a bus ticket and a kick out the door.
It's a controlled demolition of the third branch of government. If you can't fire the judges, you just make the job so miserable they quit, and then you don't replace them. It's what they're doing to the entire civil service. Look, I gotta say, it makes the rule of law look like a sick joke.
It is a sick joke, but hey, at least some elites are finally facing the music. Did you see the news about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor?
Oh, you mean the man formerly known as Prince. I've been waiting for this for decades, Mary. I'm opening the black book for this one.
Careful, Julian, you'll get ink on your expensive shirt.
It's worth it. On his 66th birthday, no less. Arrested at Sandringham. Held for 11 hours. The charge, misconduct in public office.
The Guardian is saying this is all coming from the Epstein Files Transparency Act. 3.5 million documents released this month.
3.5 million. This isn't just social proximity anymore, Mary. We're talking about unredacted emails from 2010 showing Andrew sharing confidential UK government briefing materials with Jeffrey Epstein while he was a special trade envoy.
Oh, he was treating the UK's trade secrets like party favors for a predator.
And the king? King Charles actually issued a statement saying the law must take its course. No royal shield this time. The Metropolitan Police are even interviewing his former protection officers now. They're looking into allegations that security teams were told to look the other way when underage girls were brought onto royal property.
It's about time. For years, these people treated the world like their personal playground because they had a crown or $1 billion. But the algorithm is finally catching up with the ego. Even my nephew Vector is quiet about this one, probably because he's afraid his own private island fantasies might be in a server somewhere.
Oh, don't give him that much credit. Vector couldn't manage a private island. He tried to tokenize the palm trees and starve.
True, but look, while we're talking about predators, let's talk about what Trump is doing to Netflix. This is the Susan Rice ultimatum.
I mean, it is absurd. He is publicly demanding that a private company fire a board member because he doesn't like her politics.
Fire Susan Rice or face consequences. And then, wouldn't you know it, the DOJ opens an antitrust investigation into the Netflix Warner Brothers Discovery deal.
It's not an investigation. It's a shakedown. It's what mob bosses do. Nice streaming service you got there. Shame if something happened to your merger. According to Forbes, this is a direct threat to use federal power as a political weapon.
And meanwhile, this is the part that really burns my hide, Julian. He's tweeting about capping credit card interest rates at 10% to look like a populist.
Right.
But his acting CFPB director, Russell Vought, is in the background dismantling the actual rules that protect people. Senator Elizabeth Warren is screaming from the rooftops about this. They've abandoned the rule that would have capped late fees at $8. Now they're staying at $32.
That is a $10 billion gift to the big banks every year.
$10 billion from the pockets of working families straight to the vaults on Wall Street. Trump talks like a guy at the Union Hall, but he acts like the guy who owns the factory and just cut the pension plan. Average APRs are at a 10-year high, over 25%.
It's a bait and switch. He gives you the populist tweet and then he sends the fixer to gut the agency. It's what I used to see in D.C. all the time, Mary, but he's doing it with a megaphone and a smile.
You know, Julian, all of this, the corruption, the hollowing out of the courts, the hospital ships being sent to Greenland, it's a lot to keep track of. And it takes people to do this work.
You're right, Mary. Look, independent media like this doesn't just manifest out of the ether. It takes real human work to build the infrastructure. We are 100% here because of the vision and the grind of our creator, Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media. He is not a media conglomerate. He is a builder who poured his own resources and time into creating this platform so we could have these conversations. If you value independent voices over corporate algorithms, please like, subscribe, and consider visiting our new Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media to support this work. It's an act of solidarity that keeps the lights on and the servers running.
Amen to that. Because if we don't have these conversations, all we're left with is the press releases from Kristi Noem and the Truth Social rants.
Exactly. And speaking of Greenland, can we just take a second to appreciate the sheer unmitigated gall of the hospital ship offer?
No thanks. That's my favorite headline of the year.
Trump says the USNS Mercy is on the way because the people of Greenland are sick and not being taken care of, and the Prime Minister just shuts it down. We have universal health care. We're fine. Also, we just saved one of your sailors.
That's the kicker. The same day Trump is posting this nonsense, a Danish crew had to evacuate a sailor from a U.S. submarine and treat him in a Greenlandic hospital.
It is the ultimate self-own.
It is. But it's not just a funny story, Julian. It's about the seizure backdrop. People in Greenland and Denmark are terrified that this NATO framework is just a precursor to Trump trying to buy the island again or just taking it.
It's 19th century imperialism with a 21st century Twitter account. And it's dangerous. Look what's going on in Mexico. The Mexican army kills a cartel boss, El Mencho, and now the U.S. has to issue travel alerts because the retaliatory violence is so bad.
It's militarized diplomacy. When you treat your neighbors like enemies or property, don't be surprised when things get violent.
Which brings us to the home front. We have to talk about the privatization of safety. Florida, Senate Bill 52.
Armed volunteers in churches.
Unlicensed, unpaid, and waived from liability standards. Don Getz says it's because smaller congregations can't afford the $900 cost of professional security.
So the solution is to let someone with a concealed carry permit and a weekend of target practice act as a bodyguard? Julian, that's not a security plan. That's a tragedy waiting for a zip code. The Diocese of Pensacola-Tallahassee is even opposing it. Even the church is saying maybe we shouldn't have unregulated guns in the pews.
But it's the same logic as the Texas school vouchers, Mary. Greg Abbott is celebrating record-breaking demand for diverting public funds to private schools. It's the great privatization. If you can't control the public institution, you starve it till it dies and then sell the pieces to your donors.
And you use AI swarms to make it look like everyone wants it. That's the new trick. Manufacturing consensus with bot networks. My nephew, Vector, probably has a consensus as a service startup in his basement right now.
I'm telling you, it's all a shell game. Which leads us to the big one, the Mar-a-Lago breach.
This Austin Tucker Martin kid, 21 years old.
It is a dark story, Mary. He was reported missing by his family in North Carolina. He drives through the gate at Mar-a-Lago at 1:30 in the morning carrying a shotgun and a gasoline canister.
A gasoline canister?
That's what the sheriff said. He put the can down when they told him to, but then he raised the shotgun to a shooting position. The Secret Service and the sheriff's deputies opened fire. He's dead.
Look, it's a tragedy, and thank God the president wasn't there. He was at the White House. But Julian, this highlights the absolute insanity of Mar-a-Lago being the winter White House. It's a sieve.
It's a private club. You can't secure a place where people are paying for memberships and coming and going for dinner. We've seen this in 2019, in 2024, and now this.
It's a strain on federal resources, it's a strain on local police, and it's a magnet for domestic radicalization and mental health crises. We're pouring millions into securing a golf resort while FEMA is shut down and the immigration courts are empty.
It's a microcosm of the whole country, Mary. A gilded fortress with a crumbling foundation and an armed guard at the gate who might not have a license. Tomorrow night, when Trump stands at that rostum for the State of the Union, he's going to tell us everything is great. He's going to talk about the Pledge America campaign and the greatest economy in history.
And Spanberger is going to be standing there to remind us that the sewage is still in the river and the forever chemicals are still in the firefighters' gear.
That PFAS win was a big one, though. Let's give credit where it's due. The Forest Service finally stopping the issuance of that poison turnout gear. That's a labor win.
It's a blood and ink win, Julian. The IAF pushed for years. They proved that the gear was literally melting and poisoning the people wearing it. It's a reminder that even in this mess, if you organize and you fight, you can actually win something real.
A small candle in a very dark room.
I'll take a candle over a gasoline canister any day.
Well said, Mary. Well said. Look, we're going to be here all week covering the fallout of the SOTU and whatever the Supreme Court decides to do next. My black book is getting heavy, and I think I need another hit of oxygen.
And I need another pot of coffee. Go easy on the scotch, Julian. It's still early.
It's 5 o'clock in the Panopticon, Mary. To the rest of you, stay sharp, stay loud, and don't let the bastards grind you down. We'll see you tomorrow for the big dance.
Stay gritty, folks. Queen's out.
This has been the Neural Left. Good night, America.